Okay. Where's the Wi-Fi? I've got my big deal. Don't worry. Just.
Of course, yes.
Thank you.
It's not working.
Oh, it's powering up.
No, but I'm. This thing. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So if you press it again to turn off, that's it. Mine will work in a second. Good evening. The first item of business is the election of chair. Do I have any nominations, please? Oh, sorry, we're starting with the SACRE meeting to start the first meeting, 5 o'clock meeting. Any nominations for chair?
Gareth, please. Gareth Barnard.
Okay. Is
Can you then yours off?
Yeah.
So Anna, sorry, no. Yeah, it would work now.
I would be happy to chair. I chaired in the past and would be happy to chair SACRE while we bring a sort of new generation of chairs and vice chairs on if colleagues are happy with that.
Thank you. Any other nominations? No. Councillor Barnard as chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I now just whiz, so we're now on the main SACRE meeting, aren't we? So, okay, we now need to appoint a vice chair, don't we? Appointment of vice chair for the SACRE. Do we have a nomination for vice chair, please? There's stunned silence around the table. I mean, we can hold this in abeyance, can't we, till the next meeting? So that's fine. So if we can just make a note, colleagues, if you're interested in becoming vice chair for the year ahead, happy to have a conversation, you know, to involve people between now and the next meeting. Okay, thank you very much. So we now move down to so Bracknell Forest. So the minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated. Are colleagues happy that they are an accurate record? Thank you very much. Are there any immediate matters arising any colleagues wish to bring forward? Okay, thank you very much. And I should just say thanks to Emma for standing in because Lizzie's unwell. I think, you know, to say thank you very much for standing in. And that then takes us to Bracknell Forest Interfaith Forum, Interfaith Week. I think that's a notice. Does anyone wish to sort of just say a few words about that? There we go. Yeah.
Forget that. So Thursday, 20th of November, evenings, so doors open for 6:30. We're looking at the role of faith in charity. So we've got 6 faith speaking again. So do come and do pass on to other teachers. It's useful content for teachers and also useful links to kind of for teachers to get contacts from as well. So next week, and we'll probably send a further follow up as well to you at the beginning of next week. So do please join. And if you've got any questions, do let us know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There being no further business, I'd like to close the meeting and note everyone that we next meet on the 24th of February 2026. For those who will notice me, that's about one of the shortest meetings ever chaired, but thank you very much, everyone. Hey, Emma, back over to you now, I think, for us to now move to the ASC meeting.
Do you not need to elect a chair?
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Barnard. So moving on to the next meeting. First of all, we've got the election of chair. We've got any proposals for chairman?
I didn't quite understand. Are you going to chair this meeting or?
I think the proposal is that you were going to chair.
So the proposal is I'm happy to be nominated as chair simply for this meeting
For the
because
continuity. Yeah.
I've been working with Tracy and Katie and Shira. So if you wish to nominate me, I would agree to stand. Yes.
Seconded.
I'm sorry about rather confusing start, but thank you. First of all, can I say thank you so much for coming in person? It makes a massive difference. It's going to make voting so much easier. So we're just going to stay in this room when we vote, which will save a lot of shenanigans. So thank you so much. Emma has suggested that it would be good just if we went round and introduced ourselves because if you've got a memory like mine, you probably do forget names. So a reminder on the mics that when you're not speaking, you need to turn them off. Otherwise, you get feedback. If you are speaking, then you just need to press the button in the middle. So let's have a practice by going around introducing ourselves. That's probably the best way of doing it. So my name's Vicky Gibson, and I am chair for today.
I'm Emma Dearsley. I'll be clerking today. Thank you.
Tracy Bradshaw, I'm the local authority officer allocated to SACRE.
I'm Katie Dickens. I am your advisor for RE.
I'm Cathy Hadfield and I'm the Baha'i representative.
Councillor Gareth Bonner, Bracknell Forest Councillor.
I'm Jo Perrott and I'm the Catholic representative.
I'm Abigail McLean and I'm the Free Church representative for Kerrith.
Thank you. I'm Alan Montgomery. I'm the Humanist rep.
Yes, Councillor Roy Bailey from Bracknell Forest Council.
Councillor Tricia Brown, Bracknell Forest Council.
Anna Kennedy, I'm an education representative. I'm head teacher at Warfield CAV Primary School.
Anne Andrews, C of E rep.
Good afternoon, Tim Griffith, head teacher of Brownlow School and a teacher rep.
Shira Solomons, Judaism.
Rajdeep Maradhanju, Sikhi rep.
Thank you. Sounds like University Challenge, doesn't it? And so your next question will be, will you agree to syllabus? So just to give you a sort of preamble, because if you're anything like me, your head has been in lots of different places and just getting yourself in gear for this has been quite a challenge. There's a lot of documents to read. So I'm just going to summarise where we're at. Thank you. So just to remind you that we're revisiting the October version of the syllabus. We're responding to documents put forward by Shira Solomons and supported by other Judaism reps on other SACREs. There's been an extensive discussion about these amendments on the Wokingham SACRE in April and May of this year, and they have kindly shared their document with us. So that is the source of the document and the changes. They passed their syllabus in May, but it's described as Wokingham's agreed syllabus, not the Pan Berkshire agreed syllabus. We can use it to help us, but it is not our syllabus until we have agreed all the changes. Once agreed or amended, then we shall call it Bracknell's agreed syllabus. Now, Shira, I need to say thank you really to Shira, Tracy and Katie, who have spent many hours of work on this syllabus, highlighting the key changes for us so that it is clear what we're actually amending. Can you imagine if we just came with a document with nothing written on it, it would have been a complete nightmare. So I do want to publicly thank those three for all their hard work on preparing this document for us for the meeting. This is why some of the bits have been scored out, because we're suggesting a change from the October one, or they've been rewritten. By the end of this review, we will either accept these changes or revert back to sections of the October document, or come up with some compromise suggestions. It really is important to me personally to recognise formally the significant contribution made by Anne Andrews and her team in getting us to this stage. We're very grateful for your desire to continue serving Bracknell Forest as a representative of the Church of England, and we thank you for the work you've done previously, Anne. I'm also really grateful to those of you who've taken time to respond to the suggested amendments, and those responses were included in the agenda that was sent out to you by Lizzie. So to let you know about the process, we're going to take each section as a whole. I'm assuming you've had the chance to read the documents and so have come with questions and comments and suggested amendments. The plan is to discuss each section and then to move into our groups for acceptance or rejection. If while we are discussing a section, any member wishes to challenge something or come up with a different proposal, then this can be discussed. However, I would ask that members limit what they say to no more than 2 minutes. If we can agree as a committee, then we can put the new proposal to each group for voting on. Tracy and Katie are here to assist us. They're advising, but they cannot change the content of the syllabus. So at this stage, do you have any questions about the process? All right, let's move on then. So we're going to look at section A to start with. Now, those of you who've got computers, Shira has very helpfully summarised the key changes for section A on pages 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, right way through to section B. Does anybody have any comments, questions for Shira at this stage, or any proposals for anything different? You can't read it.
Are these the same changes as were originally proposed by Shira, or have they been modified in between?
You've got them in front of you on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. Okay, I'm sorry. I will read again.
Have you?
I have the original set of proposals, so I imagine they're very similar. But
they're the ones you commented on, Alan, in your document.
Right.
Yes, there's been no further changes since then. Is that what you're asking?
That was asking. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes. Tricia, thank you.
I don't know if this is in one of the pages you mentioned, but there's a mention of a change from Pan Berkshire, but Pan Berkshire still appears in a number of other pages, and the page numbers are not in sync with what I was looking at either, because the overall page on the agenda is different from the page on the
to be fair, we'd only got as far as just putting in the changes that were requested.
Right.
So there's still some work to do on the document in terms of changing headers and footers and
yes,
removing
the
basic rubric. So just to make that clear,
okay,
that this is very much a draft document.
Yeah. So the reference to Pan Berkshire is not consistent. So if that could be reviewed. I mean, I can give you a couple of pointers, but I haven't managed to go right through it.
Sorry, are you saying that there are some references to Pan Berkshire still in the draft that was circulated and they're not crossed out?
Not crossed out. In particular, if we can go to document page 30.
So, Tricia, can I just clarify? Are you using the agenda document, or are you using the document that was the syllabus document?
I can refer you to the syllabus document in a moment. I'm referring, my numbers refer to the agenda, but I will tell you in a moment. I don't know, probably.
But I just can I interrupt as chair, because I think these are things which we can iron out
Yeah.
at a later stage when somebody goes through the document. I think we understand that eventually our document will be called the Bracknell Agreed Syllabus.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, we'll move on from that one.
Absolutely.
It is confusing. The Wokingham revised document, that they've got the changes on it, the numbers are on the right hand side of the page, and the agenda number of the page is in the centre of the document at the bottom. That may or may not help you, I don't know. So section A, really, let me just I perhaps will ask Shira. Shira, could you just give us a very quick summary of what section A really is about, and what it is we're voting on here?
And I've noticed there's working at the top, and I don't know why, because I thought I fixed that. So that
Are you switched on?
I am. I think I'm turned on. Okay, so section A honestly should be non-controversial. The Judaism reps got together, put together what our recommendations were for the content of the syllabus. We also worked with the Hindu reps on improving some of the key questions for Key Stage 2, which were taken on board. Then when the final syllabus was then brought forward, we found that well, the problem was that because there had been so much that had to be done, we wanted to have a follow-up meeting with the advisors. That follow-up meeting never happened. And so the content was simply adjusted without consulting us. This included removing some very important aspects of Judaism from the syllabus, again, without consulting us. Also, the key questions for Judaism were made inconsistent with the key questions for the other religions in ways that really just were perplexing. One of the things that was done was that the word Israel was edited out of the syllabus, which we were just utterly shocked by. Even the children of Israel, even that phrase was taken out of the syllabus, which we found just utterly shocking. So that we ended up having to raise an equality issue about the syllabus. So what we ended up doing was we got together and we put together replacement of the content and the key questions in a way that would reflect authentically Judaism as we see it. And we then we made sure that the length of it in terms of the pages and the amount of space in the syllabus was the same as was already in the syllabus. So we weren't like occupying more space on the document. We were very careful to do that, but we were just editing differently based on what our priorities were. And so that's what you've got. And so the bit that's crossed out is the bit that should be replaced. The bit that's not crossed out is the bit that should be put in. You can see the comparison between the key questions and how the Judaism key questions for upper Key Stage 2 were out of sync with those for the other religions. So for example, yeah. Sorry. So it would ask, what do Muslims learn about God and human life, and what do Sikhs learn about God and human life? But the Judaism question was like, what is the role of Jewish sacred texts and traditions? It was like almost like the word Jew was being avoided, which we found very odd. So we've got a proposal for. I mean, we sat down and we worked it out. But what the correct questions and content should be. And I don't think we should be wasting too much time, honestly, arguing about it, because this was sorted out between the Judaism reps and working and found it acceptable. I don't think it's controversial.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Shira about this content? I would support her in this, as much as this has been a combined contribution from the Judaism representatives, and they are the ultimate authority on these things. But is there any wording or anything that people might struggle with or take exception to, or are you happy to go to a vote on this section?
Can I just ask one question regarding, so on the section the document I'm looking at, it's mostly tourism content that's in there. So should there be, is there comparable content for other regions that needs to be included there? Or is that going to be at the end? Because
I divided the document proposal for changes, divided up sort of logically in order to make it easy to vote on. So section A is solely the changes that related to Judaism specifically, and anything to do with any other religion would be in a different section. It's not in order of page of the syllabus at all.
I just wanted to confirm that no changes have been made to the SACRE content GradStip. That has remained as it was.
I think it wasn't changed by any yet because I've spoken to the other SACREs. They've passed with Slough and Maidenhead. I've discussed with them a detail of why they haven't made amendments. Considering Slough has a kind of very high Sikh population, I have got changes because in which yes they are where they are. But I'll be submitting the content changes accordingly.
Sorry, I'm confused, Rajit. We're discussing the Judaism content here. Section A is only Judaism.
Yes, I note that. I'm just saying about the context. I made a comment about the sticky content hasn't been changed. I have got some changes. I'm just highlighting that. That's all.
Unless there are no further questions or comments, can I suggest we go forward to a vote on this particular section? So what we're going to do is go into our groups. Group A is the biggest of the groups. So I suggest Emma, go over there. Yeah. And the smaller groups, obviously, if you just spread yourselves around, if you could just ask the question, someone could take responsibility for the group. Just say, are you happy to accept the proposed amendments as set out in section A? If the answer is, if everybody's happy to agree, perhaps you could just go around and ask everybody, yes, no, and then we only need a majority within each group in order to pass it. Is that correct, Emma?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, so if you'd like to go into your groups as quickly as possible, please.
Is there anybody against the recommendations? You can do it as one whole, or divide into your groups if you'd like further discussion.
I think it's important that as groups, it's recorded that you've had that opportunity to discuss and go into your groups, even if that is only for a short period of time. And
I think it would be a great idea if we were to change where we sit so that we're sitting by group. And if we're just sitting by group for the whole meeting, then whenever we need to break up to groups, we'll just be able to just do it and without a fuss. So why don't we just stick all of group A on this end of the table and everyone just musical chairs and we'll sit by group.
Do work it
So could we have, just for the record, Group A have passed Section A unanimously. Hooray! Sorry, who are we waiting for?
Vicky and Rajdip are currently out of the room at the moment, so they'll just be.
Rajdip said yes.
Yes.
Rajdip's agreed.
Okay.
So who's also gone out of the room?
Katie.
Oh, okay.
He's not
Is there-
a member of the ASC.
No.
Is someone online?
No, that's Emma. So Group A are happy to put forward Section A unanimously. What about Group B?
Group B accepts the amendments.
Thank you. Group C?
We accept also.
Thank you. Group D? Thank you. So Section A is passed and we'll go forward to the Bracknell agreed syllabus. So let's move on now to Section B. So if you're following on the agenda, yes.
We share it.
Could we find out what's happening, please, Tracy? Thank you. So to give you time, you've got a few moments. If you move to Section B, it's on page 12 of the agenda. Now, and as we're waiting, I shall give you time just to review what it's about. Rajdip, we're on to Section B now.
Want me to go through what the items are in Section B?
No, thank you.
No.
It's I think the Section B, I may be wrong, is also relatively uncontroversial.
There's one change in Section B that I can see for some reason isn't reflected in the document, which is it says Workingham at the top, and I don't know why. I thought I'd fixed that. It should say Bracknell Forest. So.
Yeah, thank you for
make a
pointing
note.
that out. Yes, I think these are sorts of.
Someone said that Pam Berkshire was still in there somewhere. But what page was that? Was
No.
It's on the bottom, recommended revisions for Pan Berkshire syllabus. That's page 12.
Oh, that's not part of the syllabus.
Okay.
So Section B contains various adjustments to the statutory content. This includes typos and minor corrections as well as wording changes needed to indicate a syllabus for a different local authority. An additional paragraph is added regarding safeguarding. A number of key questions are revised to be pedagogic. Thank you. So, I used to be able to say that word when I was teaching, but no more. That word, superior open questions that encourage understanding rather than closed questions that encourage judgment. Right. So were there any questions or comments on Section B?
Just one note. Section B1C, the last item, I checked with Emily Waddilov. That change, removing the words of learners, was a mistake, and Workingham has put those words back in. So the change to 1.4 under B1C should not be made because it was a mistake. I was right that it was a mistake. I listed it because it was in the Workingham syllabus because I was being complete.
Thank you for that clarification. That's really helpful. So any questions or comments on Section B? Tracy?
Yes, just to let you know that Emily Waddilov has been in contact with me, just identifying additional sort of typos, etc., in their own document, and has shared that document with me so that to support us in any particular, in terms of the work that we will have to do in terms of the publication. So it's just supporting us. There's no changes to content. It is more about where there's been some typos, etc.
Is the only one I think that covers the generic remarks in part 1. So let me find my notes. One of only about 3 changes I want, but still. In Paragraph 1.4, paragraph 2. So let's find 1.4. This is of the syllabus. So there's a purpose of this syllabus, and then 1.4 is how to use this syllabus. And paragraph 2 of it.
What page is that on?
It's on page 33. Yes, 33. And in the middle of the second paragraph, there's a long list that says schools should include that the core introductory units are taught and that by the end of lower case stage 2, pupils have encountered Christianity, Hindu Dharma, Islam, Judaism, and Sikhi.
That's not a section B. That's not a section B question. That's section D. We should discuss that when we discuss section D.
Is that correct? I mean, there are references in B to this part of the document, that's all.
So, Alan, I read your document today, and I think your proposals on your last page of your PDF document pertain to sections D and E on our agenda.
No, well, this
unless this is extra to that.
Well, we can take it at the end if you like. It's just there's just a list of what people should have covered by the end of Key Stage 2, and it does not include humanism.
Yes, that's a discussion for section D.
Okay.
Is that okay? If we can
stand corrected.
No, that's fine. It's confusing. There's so much to deal with. Somebody else's hand went up. So yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Right, this is great. Let's move forward to a vote then. So similarly, yes, of course.
Oops.
Yeah.
Another comment on this. There is some point in the commentary on section D which says the motivation for this was the inclusion of critical RE activities in earlier drafts and the increasing promotion of critical RE within the worldview framework. Such activities encourage children to treat religious beliefs as propositions that require evidence, which is fine, and I think so it should. But then the next sentence goes on, at the end of it says, and this may lead to discussions that veer into persuasion proselytizing. Yes, I know, but it doesn't follow that the conclusion does not follow from the proposition that critical evaluation of the propositions and claims of religion means they'll start fighting. It's not logical. However, I am prepared. I don't think it actually appears in the syllabus. I don't
know
why this comment is here. But
I think, to be fair to Shira, it was a justification for a position she was holding. It's not actually pertinent to the syllabus itself. Is that correct? Yeah.
Those elements. There were some elements in the earlier draft of the syllabus which encouraged children to rank the religious beliefs of their peers by which ones were more or less reasonable. Which honestly the Judaism reps thought was just utterly shocking because it risked making certain children feel stigmatized, because no child should be felt that they have to justify why they believe differently. So the issue of minority stress came up, and because I'm actually quite concerned that this may
stop.
So that's
Thank you. Go on.
Thank you. Yes, Anne.
May I just say that those questions which were objected to were removed before the syllabus on which we voted in October.
Thank you.
So they shouldn't even get mentioned again because they were removed.
Okay, sorry.
Very useful to have an expert on the panel. Thank you, Van. Right. I am wanting to move forward to voting on section B. Is everybody happy to do that? Please speak if you're not. Right, okay. Same as before, please. Are you happy to accept all the amendments proposed in section B?
Yes.
All right. You've been so thorough on this. Nobody will criticise you for that. Honestly, it's helpful to point it out, though. Thank you. Right. Are we ready? Yes. So Group A are unanimous and support section B. Group B? Yes, thank you. Group
Sorry,
C?
yes.
Group C?
Yes, thank you.
Group D? Good. Right. So we have an hour and 5 minutes to go. Do you reckon we'll do it? I reckon we'll get stuck on. Yes, I'm hoping so too. So section C, let's just refer, so you all on the same page.
Just gathered together every single adjustment that had been made to
You were very
non-statutory
good.
content. That many of these changes were made by the RE or by the RE advisors. I also noticed that there was a mistake that some of the questions for humanism were updated in non-statutory content. It was clear that it was an improvement, but it wasn't filtered back to statutory content. So you've got to make sure that they're consistent across, that the key questions are consistent. So it really should be non-controversial.
Yes, thank you.
Are we? Yes, no, I'm very grateful indeed for all the work you've done on this. It's really clear. So section C is non-statutory content, looking at the New Old Testament. The peace be upon him. I'm sorry that Seb Day isn't here to comment on that, but I've had no written comments from her, and she's not here tonight. So I hope all is well with her. But I can't add anything from our Muslim rep there. Then there's various edits again. Are there any comments or questions about section C? No. In which case, I'm going to propose that we go forward for a vote again on section C. Is that everybody happy with that? Yes, okay.
Okay, that's good.
So we're ready. Group A are unanimous and have agreed section C. Group B?
Yes, that's fine.
Group C?
Same, thank you. Yes.
Group D? Councillors? Right, I don't anticipate this section is going to be quite so uncontroversial. In fact, I'm looking forward to a robust discussion on section D. So section D, it would be helpful if you could have in front of you page 17 of the agreed syllabus. It's the two coloured charts which Shira's helpfully put together. So there's the proposed changes, which I believe Woking accepted. We don't have to accept them. This, I think, is going to be a point of discussion with the balance of. So the current document says that in upper keys, everything remains the same apart from the blue section, which is upper key stage 2. Have you all got that? Yeah, everybody's with that. So at the moment, the Wokingham syllabus has the lower column, which has changed what we agreed in October. So in October, we agreed that we would have a balance of Christianity, Islam and or Judaism, Hindu Dharma and or Sikhi and or Buddhism, and humanism. The proposal, which has come from the Wokingham syllabus, but primarily from the Judaism representatives, is that we have Christianity, we offer or mandate Christianity, Hindu Dharma, Judaism, Sikhi and or Buddhism and or Islam and or humanism. So you'll notice that Judaism has been prioritised. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? And Hinduism, yes. Thank you.
They're both affected by the same issue.
Would you explain your rationale, please? And I'm sure we'll have a discussion on this one.
So the thing is that in the syllabus, in Key Stage 3, you have a thorough learning, along with Christianity, of Islam and humanism and Buddhism in Key Stage 3, which is really the place of choice. And any religion, if you want to be in one place, Key Stage 3 is where you want to be, because the kids are older, they're going to remember. The earlier that you teach, on one way you could say, oh, that's great, but you will forget what you learn when you're 5 and 6. So if you look at the sort of the coverage of the different religions, there was a particular problem for Judaism and Hinduism in that the syllabus as it stood would allow teachers to feel it's completely normal and completely, like, not even something that they wouldn't even need to justify, that they would teach about Judaism when the kids are 6, teach about Hinduism when the kids are 6, and then they will never, ever encounter anything about Judaism or Hinduism ever again in their education, not in lower Key Stage 2, not in upper Key Stage 2, not in Key Stage 3. Key Stage 3 doesn't even have optional content. If you feel like teaching about Judaism or Hinduism, it's not there at all. And that what would be better would be a spiral of learning where you are learning about religions in alternate key stages, so that also you make sure that at some point when the kids are at least old enough that they're likely to retain that knowledge, at least some hope of them retaining that knowledge into adulthood, for which sort of the minimum would be a sort of lower Key Stage 2 or upper Key Stage 2, that they would be that or Key Stage 3, that everyone would have some coverage in those, and you wouldn't just be relegating a religion to be taught in Key Stage 1 and never be touched again. So this is why we made the recommendation. By the way, it's a recommendation, because in any case, you need to understand in the syllabus, all of the religions other than Christianity in the syllabus are recommendations. One of the things we did in working them is we made a clear distinction between required, recommended, and optional. So making a recommendation, if a school decides, something, we really do want to prioritize Islam or SACRE in upper Key Stage 2. Nothing to stop the school from doing it. It's about whether the syllabus is making a recommendation. Recommendations matter because it means you need to have a reason why you don't follow it. It means psychologically it matters. What's the default? So that's why we made this recommendation. There is no chance that children from the syllabus the way it is will not encounter thorough learning of Islam. It's covered in lower Key Stage 2, it's covered in Key Stage 3. There's no risk they won't encounter thorough learning of humanism. It's in Key Stage 3. Same with Buddhism, it's in Key Stage 3. But Judaism and Hinduism is a real risk that they would not learn about them. Now, the rationale for why that is important, there's 2 different reasons why you make a rationale for why you teach religion. So one of the things that you do when you're choosing which religions to cover in a local authority is based on demographics. And what we noticed in Wokingham, and it's similar in Bracknell, is that the population of Hindus relative to Muslims, there are as many Hindus, if not more, and it varied among the local authorities, but it's similar in Bracknell. The populations are on par. So the idea that you should be placing such a emphasis, there should be balance. It's about balance to make sure that you obviously want to make sure the kids are learning about Islam thoroughly, but you should also make sure that they're learning about Hinduism thoroughly. So that was to do with Islam, to do with Hinduism. Honestly, when we looked at demographics, we realized what on earth, no one's looked properly. It's almost like these decisions were made to prioritize religions without thinking at all about populations. With respect to Judaism, it's a different argument. We're obviously a very small community, but the problem is that because Judaism is so closely linked with Islam and Christianity, and because Christianity and Islam, when they're taught, will then be teaching concepts which are essentially their take on what are Jewish concepts or Jewish characters from the Jewish scriptures. You can't understand Christianity without understanding its roots in Judaism. And if you learn about Islam, and without learning about Judaism, you might think certain things are uniquely Islamic, whereas really they were in Judaism. And you end up with a distorted view of Judaism, where Judaism is being taught from a Christian and Islamic point, because you effectively can't not teach Judaism.
Sure, some of this is already in your document.
So that's the rationale. Now, if this raised one then problem which I flagged, which is SACRE. So now, from my point of view, if I had a choice between Judaism being in Key Stage 1 and Upper Key Stage 2, if I had a choice between Judaism being Key Stage 1 or Lower Key Stage 2, I would take Lower Key Stage 2, because at least the kids are a little older. So SACRE being in Lower Key Stage 2, at least it's not sort of 6-year-olds. But I did raise the issue that there is a need, which could be worked on, to have some optional lessons on SACRE that can be offered in Key Stage 3 to do review, so that there's that spiral of learning. That was my one sort of worry, was not to sideline SACRE, but that could be addressed by having some options for Key Stage 3.
Thank you. I'm sure Rajdip will want to make some observations, and Alan, I'm sure you'll want to say some stuff based upon your document, and Gareth does too. Who else would like to speak on this? So I'm going to go in that order: Rajdip, Alan, Gareth, and then if anybody wants to come in at the end of what they've said. Could I ask that you keep your comments relatively short, please? Thank you, Raj.
So I've looked at this in detail, had a chat with Shira as well. So I think I raised this concern when we discussed the syllabus last year, particularly with Anne, that SACRE is marginalised. I've looked at demographics, I've looked at the census as well, and SACRE is generally third or fourth religion in Berkshire. In Slough, I think it's probably second or third. So it's representative. If you look at kind of how SACRE is covered, again, going back to the age group it's taught, if it's taught at Key Stage 2, Lower Key Stage 2, we're talking about children the ages between 7 to 9. And if it's not repeated, that information will be lost. Similarly to what Shira's raised about Judaism, I think SACRE, and I think I was speaking to Alan earlier, and this happens repeatedly, that Sikhism is seen often as an offshoot or a subsidiary sort of religion of Hinduism. There needs to be that complete sort of differentiation that it is not. And I think also because SACRE is well known for the work it does in terms of charitable work as well. So it needs to be recognised. So I think one of the things I've looked above and beyond. It's not a case of me fighting my religion. I think we need to look at above and beyond what we're doing in RE. And I think I've written a document about this as well, so I will share that with you all. One of the things I propose, I think I've looked at it as well. There needs to be kind of slightly kind of touching upon points to consolidate information. Otherwise, what you have is, if you only teach SACRE at Lower Key Stage 2, a child in years 3 or 4 learns SACRE, and then within their school kind of lifetime, from ages 4 to 5 up to 18, they never come across SACRE again. I cannot say for any religion that I would, that's going to teach them SACRE values or anything. There's not so much to cover. It's not enough to consolidate information. Children will forget. And I think the other thing I would touch upon it briefly is about Islam. Islam is generally the second religion that's taught at GCSE. So we need to look at how many times Islam is taught between early years, Key Stage 1, 2, and 3. And that's an option that, I don't want SACRE to be an option. I want it to be set. I think I'm looking to propose SACRE is in Key Stage 3, but not an option. I think the actual change that Shira's made, I think your rationale makes sense, but based on demographics, we can look at demographics and then look at justification which proposes this. But I think, let me just cover briefly. I think we also need to look at kind of how we consolidate learning as well. It's, I've talked in the past about Interfaith Week. There's World Religion Day. That's something else we need to introduce to give a pathway to teachers of how to consolidate learning that is done with support kind of from outside the school setting. But going back to SACRE, yes, clearly I'm not happy. If it's only taught once, that learning is not sufficient.
Could you just clarify what you're proposing? Can you put it into a sentence? If not, we'll ask our experts down the end there to help us with this. What are you proposing?
To make SACRE mandatory at Key Stage 3. And also the other thing which I've looked at as well, that, I think it's one of the SACRE meetings about a year ago.
At Key Stage 3?
Key Stage 3, yeah.
But so leaving primary as it is.
No, yeah.
It would be
Key
put
Stage 3 is secondary.
in addition to lower key stage 2.
Oh, hang on. This is a change. So
It's
in
not-
addition to,
So it's already in. So I'm looking at the original sub-template we have for what it's taught. So it's taught in lower key stage 2, and then it should be taught at key stage 3.
Yeah.
Because there's repetition of other religions, and I think we need to clearly, before the same reason that Judaism is kind of offered up saying it should be taught again, there is conflation and confusion between Hinduism and Sikhism.
So to clarify, you want to keep Sikhi where it is in lower key stage 2
and be taught
the
again,
the purple one, and you want to add it to key stage 3 instead of it being as a school choice. You want to put Sikhism in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think for me,
that's very helpful. No, thank you. I'm going to put. No, it's not your turn. It's Alan next. Are you finished?
I've got other. I will send the kind of a whole list, and I think the other thing is the options at key stage 4 for GCSE. I wasn't aware, and I've discussed it at length with kind of other boroughs, that it should be an option available to people as well. So, for example, if I'm of Sikh faith, why do I want my child to learn Islam? Not that I've got anything against religion. I would want the option of actually having them learn Sikhi.
I'm not sure that's within our.
It's a key
not
stage
within
4
our remit.
is not covered here. Okay.
No, I'm just going to ask for Tim's advice on. Can I just? No, you can't. Sorry. Of course, yes. Can I just ask Tim a question, please? Thank you. Is that possible for us to?
I don't believe it is. No.
Thank you, Tim, for that helpful. So, what was your question?
My question for Rajdeep.
I am the chair, remember.
It's a really good idea, and I suggested that we should work on this. How would we implement it? Do you have the material? Because it's not, I mean, so there's one thing to say
You're
that
talking about key stage 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I flagged this, something that needs to be worked on, but you have to do it. And the question is, where is the material? Because we have to approve a syllabus. So what could we do? I mean, obviously non-statutory content can be revised at any time. What could we, practically speaking, do to actually
the content is there. I've been looking at this in detail, I think previously as well, because there's so much. I think there's the things that you Google and do look on Wikipedia. I think it's above and beyond. It's there's so much content out there. I won't go into detail, but it's looking at charitable works that are done by well-known kind of organisations such as Khalsa Aid.
I suppose the point that Shira's making, and I would also make, is that if you're going to put something extra in the syllabus, the material's got to be there at the same time. Could I ask Katie and Tracy about this, please?
So the first point I would make is that it's not necessarily mandatory in Key Stage 3 because it's up to the schools what they choose to do, and it still has to be 50% Christianity. So I think it's very much worth reminding people by adding Sikhi to the list in that other box. My question is, and this is my unfamiliarity, and maybe somebody can help me with this, do we have statutory content for Key Stage 3? And if that's what you want to do, then I'm sorry to say we're not going to be able to pass any syllabus this evening if there are some additional proposals from Rajdip as a Sikhi rep, because we would need to add in the statutory content for Key Stage 3 if that is what is requested. So we're not going to be in a position, even if we agree all the other things, we're not going to be in a position to pass this syllabus this evening.
May I make a suggestion?
You may.
We want to be able to get a syllabus through because the teachers are begging for it. What we could do is in the box, that orange box, put Sikhi in the box, and there could be in Key Stage 3 a single line saying that we recommend that schools revisit Sikhi, and then at some point when we have the material together in non-statutory content, we can then put that in, because non-statutory content you don't even need an ASC to do. And if that's all put in non-statutory content, next time there's an ASC, then you can put it in the statutory content. And that's a sort of pathway to getting to where we want to be without it throwing a wrench in the works of us being able to agree a syllabus tonight.
That sounds sensible to me. What do you think, Katie? Is that a pathway through?
I think if we do an appendix and Rajdip is happy that that's what we do, then that is a possibility. I'm just trying to identify where that would go in the syllabus. As where the statutory content is, and I'd be grateful if Anne could point me in that direction if you know where I might find it, Anne, because I thought statutory content was just Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2.
No,
So-
statutory content would cover Key Stage 3 as well.
Okay, so I'm just looking.
Yeah, it's only Key Stage 4 and 5 that wouldn't have statutory content.
The difference is that this non-statutory content is all the detailed, there's all that detailed stuff. The syllabus is divided into sections. And so the difference between statutory content and non-statutory content is that non-statutory content can be revised at any SACRE meeting by a simple vote. You don't need an ASC. But what you can put is a hint to what will be there in the statutory content, so that then when the non-statutory content is put in, when we're ready for it, it has a hook in the statutory content, and that could just be a single line in the Key Stage 3 statutory content, which is that we recommend that a revision of that there is some time spent revising SACRE.
It doesn't look like that the statutory content is particularly big. There's only 2 or 3 questions for each of the religions. So if Rajdat was happy to propose what she would like in terms of questions to be answered based on what is currently there, then it could be resolved relatively quickly, in my view. But it's whether there needs to be some thinking around that from Rajdat's point of view.
I think from my perspective, I wouldn't want to push something through. I want to kind of put the content in. So it's because I think how I see what's on the table there is that for teachers, when they're looking, I think that, I don't know, some of the teachers can comment on this, but if religions are listed there, they're not, may not be mandatory, but they are a very strong guidance of what they can teach. So I want to see SICRE as listed in Key Stage 3, and that if that prohibits that being taught, because if it's released, whenever the syllabus is kind of active, that's that content needs to be in there before it's approved. Yes, it slows things down. I think from my perspective, I think I've last year when we were we approved, I don't want to put a span in the works. I approved it with a caveat. I don't want to do that again.
Could I just ask Anne to come in here, because her hand is up and I suspect she's got something factual to say to us.
What I was thinking
Hang on, sorry, could we just not have separate conversations? Thank you.
What I was thinking is we have the philosophy section at Key Stage 3 that has, obviously it's got its statutory questions and its non-statutory content. If some of the non-statutory content that would answer the philosophy questions was given a specific SACRE twist, would that go some way to addressing this question?
It feels to me like we're doing this. It feels to me like we're doing this on the hoof, and this is not a good way to do syllabuses. So
there can be another ASC when we do a slight revision to the syllabus, where we put the SACRE content in once it's been put together. But in the meantime, you could add SACRE to that table, and you could add one little block here saying SACRE in year 7, 8, or 9, revise the content of SACRE as covered in upper Key Stage 2, say. Refer them to the upper Key Stage 2 material to do a revision.
Yes, that's helpful. What again? What do you think about that, Katie and Tracy? As a stopgap. Otherwise, we're not going to get a syllabus passed, and this is going to be kicked down the road. And I can't see that's advantageous to either SACREism or to Bracknell.
I think that would work.
Yeah. I think while that's being looked into, I think it's important for planning purposes and for going forward that we agree a syllabus tonight.
Yeah.
I think there'll always be an element of evolution, and we're going to come on to debate things. I think it is important that if we can, we agree a syllabus tonight to give a clear steer in this area, because we also know that there are going to be some national changes coming down the line. It might mean a review to what we're thinking about and doing sooner rather than later. But I appreciate how important this is to everyone, but I think our obligation, responsibility as an ASC tonight is to take that broad balanced view and to see where we end up on that. That would be my thinking as someone that's been on SACRE for a number of years.
Yes, that's also very helpful. That's all our priority, I think, Gareth, is to get something through so that the teachers and pupils of Bracknell can actually work with it.
I have a practical suggestion. Working with this peace be upon him business. We didn't agree the exact text at the ASC. What we agreed was that the secretary, whatever, would consult with Shahid and get the text right after the meeting, and whatever they agreed on, we were happy with. So what we can agree on is that there's going to be a little block added here to recommend that SACRE be reviewed, looking at the content that's already there in upper key stage 2. Exact wording of it will be agreed between Rajdeep with Rajdeep after the meeting, and that can be sorted out with an exchange of emails so to get the wording right.
I think I wouldn't say up at key stage 2, because I think the content that would be in key stage 3 would probably be more in detail. There are kind of topics that we covered at key stage 3, which are going to be very different to what's in upper key stage 2. So that would not cover it in that sort of, from that perspective. The content that's already there is not age appropriate and can be more detailed.
But the point is that the details can be dealt with later in non-secretary content. But whatever goes in that block, something about a revision of SACRE, some wording that is sensible, that you will agree between Rajdeep and who, sort of after the meeting, and then we'll deal with that, and that we're happy to let Rajdeep and I don't know who sort of put that wording together.
I'm not sure that's going to work. I need to seek advice on this. Okay. It's a bigger chunk, though. We're not just talking about a sentence. We're talking about a chunk of syllabus content.
About chunk of syllabus content. I'm talking about just a reference to the fact that SACRE should be reviewed in that table.
Gareth, I need some advice here. Tracy, you're looking puzzled. You're not sure what's being proposed.
Thank you. So what we are currently proposing is that obviously it be revisited in key stage 3. However, additional content be identified to add to what is currently in year 5 and year 6.
I think the content in key stage 3 would have to be more complex. So that's not in the syllabus at the moment.
And you can do it later.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we were going to finish the SACREism discussion first, and then we'll come on to humanism, if that's okay. Gareth.
I'm concerned that we can't really have a document where, as you say, we've agreed significant additional questions, because I think, other faiths represented around the table might say, well, hang on, there needs to be, because the one thing that I think is really important is if we agree in principle it happens, maybe we need to agree a roadmap to when we review the curriculum to include those changes, because as we've gone through and continue to talk about Judaism now, that there are a whole range of other steps to make sure that the language is appropriate, the questions are appropriate, that they're tested out in a number of ways. And I come back to the core point, which I think there is a pressing need to get a syllabus in place now, whatever that might look like at the end of the conversations, because I guess schools are planning not just for the rest of this year, but now actually planning into resourcing going forward in future years and how that all fits in. I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of teachers, but it seems to me that, if it's now delayed till another discussion, maybe at a second meeting in February, it's just not sustainable in terms.
So what's your proposal, Gareth? Given that
my proposal is the one that before we moved on to including significant chunks, that actually we might be able to, as being suggested, include some key statements. But if there's additional work, we might well need to bring that particular part back, which I do believe we can do in the future. Yeah. But I think it has to be carefully thought through. I'd be concerned if we were adding in blocks of text, so we don't want to get it wrong. That's the issue. I think.
So I think that we haven't actually agreed as a group that we want to include Sikhism at Key Stage 3. That has yet to be put to a discussion, but I suppose to groups to agree or disagree. But the proposal is that we put SACRE into the orange block of Key Stage 3. Of course, we haven't yet discussed Hinduism, which is therefore left out. Or humanism is there. It is, yes. So we have yet. I think we need to have a full discussion on this before we just distill our proposals down into what, because there needs to be a balance of religious teaching here. So can we pause on the SACRE thing, recognising that we do acknowledge you've got a point with regard to Key Stage 3, because I think the discussion on Key Stage 2 still needs to happen. because the balance needs to be there. Because I could see Dilip's not here saying, well, why isn't Hinduism in Key Stage 3? You were going to say that? Yes, well, please do say it, yes.
Sorry, we obviously listening carefully to the conversation and I think looking a bit from a practical point of view on the capacity and understanding what is mandatory and statutory and what is under school choice. I don't know enough about it in Key Stage 3, to be honest, because I only teach the little ones. But we don't have a representative of the Hindu faith here. So we'd be in a really difficult position here that all of this new ground is being covered. And I know they've worked very closely and they have been in conversations, but this is new to you as well. So therefore, we're in grave danger of passing something where actually a very key faith is not being represented, is my feeling. But we do need a syllabus.
Yeah, I was just looking at it in terms of simple capacity. I actually, with so most schools still maintain Key Stage 3 as years 7, 8 and 9. Not all schools, but most schools do that in terms of how they actually resource and teach. So my concern would be one of capacity. Having said that, if a school such as ours teaches years 7, 8 and 9 in the the traditional sense, then yes, the SACRE faith can absolutely be included there. But then that brings in the conversation that Anna's just said about the Hindu faith, and also just clarification about the Jewish faith. Yeah, that's right. And then
I mean, I think that the point of view of the Jews and Hindus is we take one in the bag. We've got to Key Stage 2. Thank you very much. We're not going to push for more because we might lose what we got. So we're not pushing for Key Stage 3 because we're happy that at least we've got, we can't, you can't have it all, right? The point is to have balance.
Sure. And the school choice, then what would happen with the school choice at Key Stage 3? So if SACRE and Hindu were to join Key Stage 3, the school choice remains?
Can I ask, so we've already got Hinduism in Key Stage 1, upper Key Stage 2. So are we looking to add it to Key Stage 3 as well? No. So there was, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just clear of that. Yeah, that's fine.
It's a good question from Tim, because then school choice would disappear, wouldn't it? Because you're recommending that those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 worldviews, religions are proposed. I want to press the pause button on that because I don't think we can make a decision on it until we've had the proper discussion of upper Key Stage 2. Because would you agree? Okay. It is all related.
I've got one proposition for that. I think Buddhism isn't covered up until Key Stage 3, and I think rather than have with the revised box that
Buddhism, do you say?
Buddhism is not covered, so Buddhism is moved from Key Stage 3 to upper Key Stage 2. Rather than having these options.
No. Can we stick with what's just being proposed? So I want now a discussion on upper Key Stage 2, if we may, because I think that influences what we propose in Key Stage 3. And Alan, I was going to ask you to bring your comments into upper Key Stage 2.
Okay, well, my first comment is to thank you, because I think this is the first time you have included non-religious worldviews, maybe not, but certainly, okay, but we have certainly got more humanism and non-religious worldviews than previously, so thank you for that. My approach to Shira's proposal was simply to kind of defend humanism, because it seemed that what we were proposing was having more Judaism and less humanism, and I just felt the need to push back on that. And my argument as to why that might be appropriate is based on the populations. So the religionists have conveniently compared the populations of religions, but left out those who had no religion. And if you look at Bracknell Forest, the proportion of people who say no religion is much higher and close to the level of people who say they are Christians. Now, it could be argued that not all no religions are humanists, but equally not all the people who say CFE on the form are practicing CFEs. And so it seems to me that representing a non-religious tradition at nearly the same level as Christianity is appropriate and reflects population. So that's the one argument why I wanted to keep it up high and as close as possible to Christianity within the law. There is a second reason, and I actually alluded to it here. I happened to start writing this just at the point when news came through of the synagogue being attacked in Manchester. And it seems to me one of the things we should be aiming to achieve through all education, but in particular through RE, is to minimize the chance that people will form views and disintegrate into rival groups and think that the right thing to do is to go and kill people in a mosque, which is what some people do. Or kill some people in a synagogue, which is what some people do. And teaching humanism teaches common ethics that all of your religions support. And it has very little of the history and the stories that, or the traditions or indeed the ceremonies that the other religions have. So it's a very economical way of actually teaching ethics and teaching the golden rule, which you all support, including in the negative form, which is my favorite form of the golden rule. So that's really the reason why I say thank you. I think it's appropriate to continue teaching humanism, but you have given us quite a generous helping. So, my proposal, I did come up with one proposal, which was really specifically to address Shira's point, which was to, where it says Islam in Key Stage 3, to say Islam and Judaism. Yes. You can't. That's fine.
He's getting mixed up. He means upper Key Stage 2.
No. Well, I was proposing that it move to Key Stage 3, but if we don't, that's okay. That's fine. Don't worry. But it does seem to me teaching each of these religions separately is not the best way to get a nation that is comfortable with living with people, other faiths. And I think there's a particular tension at present between Islam and Judaism, which it could be useful to teach both so that you compare the rival claims of both to the Holy Lands and Christianity. But I know that's just an observation. I'm not expecting you to do anything about that on this syllabus.
Sorry.
So
have you withdrawn your proposal?
No,
that you made in your
I'm
document?
saying I want it to be put to the vote. But
what exactly do you want to be put to the vote?
I simply want to retain. I want to retain upper Key Stage 2 as it is, with humanism in it.
Yes, that's what I thought was your proposal.
Yes,
so you
that's what
want
I
to keep it as it is?
I want to keep it as it is, and let's have a vote. And if I lose the vote, that's fine.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you not think it's adequate for humanism to be in two of the sort of key stages in the way that, so low Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3?
Mm-hmm.
So you get, and so that's two of the blocks. So all the other religions in two of the blocks, and you get two of the blocks, and that's fair.
Yes, but I'm looking at the proportion of people. Both Christian and no religion have at least 15 times as many people who adhere to it. And I think if I'm trying to reduce tension in the world, I can do it better by teaching more humanism rather than by teaching more Judaism. So that's my argument.
Right, thank you. I did promise Gareth would be next, and then I will come to Anne. And was your hand up as well? No. Okay, you're scratching your head. Right, so box me. So Gareth, thank you.
Thank you. While I was reading through this, I've come to that sort of point in my life, as others have, where I sadly start to attend a significant number of funerals and families' events, and I think it's fair to say that the very appropriate number of non-faith ceremonies, both that I attend, is increasing all the time. And I link that with the profound concern I have about some of the views and attitudes of a non-insignificant number of youngsters studying up through teenage years into their 20s and 30s, where sadly Andrew Tate and his merry band seem to have more influence on the world than any faith or anything else that we can have. I was troubled when I read that we were going to just sort of move humanism potentially down to an either or thing in this, because I think it forms the fundamental basis of a balanced teaching that we need to have. Now, I'm being very deliberate with my words. I'm not saying that impacts on my desire to see other faiths promoted or not promoted. I do think there's an important link to what the demographics show, and I think we need to make sure that we have significant curriculum space in Bratton Forest to support the Nepali community, which is growing and becoming a really blossoming influential community in the south of Bracknell. So I would be troubled if we moved in terms of humanism from upper key stage 2 as originally proposed to this, because I don't think it should be an either or. I think it needs to be consistent, not because it's, we teach it here, we teach it there, we teach it there. It is an embodying philosophy of principles that we've had significant, guidance from all sorts of places on this. I think it's how we get that balance and that message. And I think the whole worldviews, humanism approach and aspect is actually pretty key going through as a basis in terms of developing and understanding values that can then lead people to appropriately explore faith. And I think this has been a profound and huge difference I've noticed over my lifetime, and I'm sure others probably have as well. And it's how we do that. And the other general comment I'd make is, if we make changes and decide to put various faiths here and move things like that, I struggle that we reduce it to almost like to sort of a game of post-it notes on a board. For me, there's something far more fundamental. What are we trying to do? And if we do it, can we do it properly and well? And are we going to resonate with the children? Because the one thing I remember from school is, if I was being taught something that I wasn't resonating with, or it wasn't being taught well, that I would struggle to understand. So I think it's about tolerance, values, and understanding. But I was really quite concerned, actually, when I saw that disappear as a line item moving into the second. Now, I don't for one moment believe that schools would not probably pick up in humanism. I just think it doesn't send quite the right message, given that for many years SACRE has been about balancing the needs of faith with worldviews and humanism. Those are my only comments. And that is not to make an anti-faith comment about any other faith represented here. It's about making the point that it's faith and worldviews.
Thank you, Gareth. Anne, and then Anne. Two Annes, yes. Yeah.
Humanism and non-religious worldviews are in each of the primary key stages. There is only one question on humanism in each of those phases. So it is not, although it comes up more frequently, it doesn't have equal footing with the focus on the religions. There isn't capacity within RE teaching. Most primary schools, you're looking at an hour a week. Everyone has to make a choice at every level. That's just how it is.
And obviously the craft in teaching is obviously sticking to syllabuses and understanding the frameworks, because they're there and they've been discussed and decided for a very good reason. However, as a teacher, the craft is about taking a child from what they know and their context, whether that be as an individual in their family or in their school. Now, we need to reflect our world to them, and actually it doesn't really matter on the proportion of people that may be adhering to this faith or that faith or no faith. It's about equipping them and helping them to, equipping them and helping them to understand the world they're growing up in and the meanings that are coming from these different religions worldwide, let alone locally. But context is everything, and majority of our children are coming from a context of absolutely no faith or observation whatsoever. And that's very sad, but we've got to start there to be able to help them to build their construct of what it means for other families who have deep faith and deep belief and passion for their beliefs. And that's just my observation from a teaching point of view, that that's the element you can't reflect very easily in here. Yeah, but it's absolutely crucial in being successful in helping our children understand the world they live in.
Anybody else want to make any comments or observations on this? We haven't talked much about Hindu Dharma, which is also part of the proposal that is given equality with Christianity, Judaism. Does anybody want to comment? I mean, Dilip isn't here, unfortunately, but I mean, we've heard what you've said earlier about it. You want to respond to Gareth? Okay.
I appreciate what you're saying. I think that it's very easy for people who come from particular faith background who really feel very strongly about that to imagine that the most important thing for everybody else is to learn your perspective on the world, and that's the foundation of everything else. None of the religions or the worldviews has a claim to being the foundation for everyone else. I could make an argument that in order to have an understanding of morality, that you should start with Judaism as a foundation. I could make that argument because Judaism is a non-proselytizing faith. You could probably make that argument from many other perspectives. The point is to make sure that we have a syllabus which is balanced, and where no matter what the faith or non-faith background of children is, that they are encountering their framework for living in the syllabus and with a reasonable frequency, so that they're not feeling like they're being sort of sidelined. So you don't need to teach humanism to teach the golden rules found in all the religions. And any teacher who is dealing with a class where there are a lot of kids or come from non-religious background, in good teaching is going to make connections. I mean, my husband teaches about Judaism in schools, and he's always making connections between Judaism and the religions of the kids in the class. That's good teaching. Good teachers will do that. Whether you put humanism as a mandatory or recommended worldview or not won't make any difference.
Okay. Has anybody got any more comments, or I'm going to move to a suggested two things to vote on at this point, because as Gareth has said, we do want to get through to a syllabus. Yes. Yeah, Trish.
Yeah, sorry, thanks. I just wanted to comment, having looked at the list of major religions, that perhaps this table should be structured in such a way that the more populated, or the more you know what I mean, the ones with more people who follow these religions within our boroughs, it should be organised so that those have the relative amount of time that is required to cover that for our children, because they have to live with others in the different religions, and there'll be more in the other religions if we follow the numbers, as it were. And I think that's important. I think humanism is very, very important to get that in there, because it's human values that we all aspire to. Thanks.
I completely understand what Trish is saying. However, actually, there is an equal argument to say that if children do not come into contact or experience certain worldviews because they and religions because they are a small minority of either their community or beyond, and let's face it, we're not talking about just Bracknell here. We're talking about children understanding the world they live in, and the world is driven by religion and beliefs. And I think we do need to make sure that we reflect their understanding and knowledge so that they can make their own decisions around that. That being said, I do wonder around the school choice element that should also have the freedom to be able to reflect the context of the school. Because the secondary school is a large place with a lot of children in Key Stage 3. I know this is a different discussion that's sort of developed this evening, but I do think that is really important that the school has the opportunity for flexibility to be able to reflect what is needed in their community. And that can be different within Bracknell Forest. It could be different.
Unless anybody's got any further comments to make, I'm with help from the rest of you, I'd like to make 2 proposals for us to vote on, because I would like to get this syllabus finished.
Just got a question for Anne. So you're a primary school teacher. You would be covered by Key Stage 2. Do you feel you need a choice of religions?
Sorry, that's not what I was commenting on. I was simply commenting on the Key Stage 3 choice and then how congested that curriculum is, which of course Tim has helped us to understand a little bit. So I'm just saying that where it says choice, I think that should remain in the context in Key Stage 3, so it is representative of their community.
So in just from the experience in the several schools that I've taught in over the past, we have taught Buddhism, Christianity, humanism, Islam, Judaism, the Holocaust. That was the chunk that we did in Key Stage 3, and then Sikhism and Hinduism. It was possible to teach all of those worldviews, religions within the Key Stage 3 curriculum. So when you say school choice, it does give teachers a lot of flexibility rather than tying them down to something which maybe they don't feel they want to teach. Because teachers have enthusiasms too, that they feel they can teach well. It was a really good project, this Holocaust project. It was very powerful, emotive. Children did art and music and other poems. It was wonderful. But if they'd been told what to teach, it might not have been quite so good. That's an observation from my own experience. I want to propose, and I need some help here from the rest of you, that we either choose to retain the existing wording in blue for Upper Key Stage 2, because it seems to me that there is still room there for everything to be taught, if that's what people want to do. So it's saying Christianity, and we have to recognise that teachers make these decisions all the time and probably already have done so for this year, because they have to plan for the curriculum. So I'm proposing that we vote on whether we accept what we've already got, which is Christianity, Islam and/or Judaism, recognising it's a recommendation and that teachers can choose to teach both if they wish, if they have time. Hindu Dharma and/or Sikh and/or Buddhism, humanism. Basically, that allows for as much flexibility as a teacher would want in the curriculum. If you box them in to what's being proposed in the lower section, you're actually beginning to constrict what they're teaching, and you're saying you must do this in our view. So that's what I'm proposing. So we either accept that we continue with the Bracknell proposal, which is what we had already, or if we reject it, then we have to then come back to the drawing board and produce a new proposal. Shira has presented her option. We can vote on that. Yes, Gareth.
Just the point of procedure.
Yes, thank you. You need that.
No, I'm understanding that all groups would need to agree
Yes.
to adopt to continue with A.
Yes.
If not, the conversation tonight finishes, because we then have to go away
Yes.
and consider an entirely new option.
Well, no, we could vote on Shira's proposal.
So we could then adopt the second one.
We could adopt the second one. So we could have 2 separate votes. Firstly, do we wish to continue with Upper Key Stage 2 as it is, or do we reject it and then want to accept the alternative?
I have just.
Is that okay?
Well, I just have one further question from
I've got
our teaching colleagues. Yeah, our teaching colleagues is to seek reassurance that, given the context, and the drive of this conversation, whether our teaching colleagues believe that the current Bracknell suggestion would allow them to take on board the very real, I think, concerns and comments that have been raised about individual faiths tonight, because I think ultimately, as you said in your comments just then, we need to be guided by what is teachable and practical within the classroom and what flexibilities are needed within the resources schools have. So I think it's really...
Jo is about to respond. She's a teacher. She's next to you. Jo, Tracy,
I'm here.
Sorry, Jo.
Yes. So as a year 6 teacher, and sort of thinking and listening to what everybody is saying, my other faith for year 6 is Judaism. However, by the time they come to me at year 6, they have studied every other faith. So we, in year 6 at the moment, when we've been talking about our Catholic social teaching, we have been incorporating particularly Sikhism because of all Sikhism because of all the charitable works you do, but we've linked it into all other faiths. Okay. So by upper key stage 2, because they have had a taste of most other world faiths or not people of non-faith, they are actually beginning to get very good at bringing it all together, which is beautiful because they have an understanding that every faith has and no faith has a major contribution to play in the working of the world that they're living in. So trying to keep things as broad as possible enables the children to make those bigger connections and to see how we all have a part to play in making our world a nicer place. And they do that very well by year 6, so long as they've, obviously it's down to good teaching, isn't it?
So
there you go.
So in response to Gareth's question to you, would keeping it in its existing format allow you to continue to do that?
I would prefer the existing form, yeah.
Thank you. As it's a teaching question, do either Anna or Tim wish to respond? I'm looking to the corner, the naughty corner.
I'm happy to talk. It's Key Stage 2. I know nothing about Key Stage 2.
Okay, so Anna then.
Flexibility. What I would say was to have regardless of the key stage, for teachers to have flexibility. That's really important, to reflect our context, to reflect what's, that's really important. I understand why people, why other people in the room are talking about. So, that's all I would say. Whatever we agree to allow to facilitate us, to allow our staff to be flexible in teaching is an important outcome, I think.
It's a quick one, but yeah, I think I would stand with the flexibility, but actually it's the flexibility gives us the ability to be circular. I can't remember the terminology, but you did refer to it beautifully earlier. The spiral, sorry, yeah, there you go. Thank you. But that gives us that ability to be spiral in our approach, because actually we can draw on the learning that's happened previously. We can revisit it because you're probably right. Our 5 and 6-year-olds are not going to recall this very well, but it gives us the opportunity and flexibility to reflect back on every religion and bring that into different contexts with a more mature learner, and hopefully then give a nice starting point for going into Key Stage 3, where they do become a little more specialist in their understanding of the different religions.
It's in relation to how we do this process. So I think it's more important at this moment for colleagues to be able to have the conversation. It's about how we go through that process once that's decided.
I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. No one is proposing that schools get limited and have their choices taken away. No. There's nothing in the proposal that we put together that is making schools compelled on up Key Stage 2 that they have to cover Judaism and that they cannot cover Islam, because everything here is a recommendation. Because this is one of the things we did very carefully in working on, was to clarify the language. There are recommendations, there are requirements, and there are options. And a recommendation is not a mandatory thing. The flexibility, you could have the syllabus as with the proposal in section D, and schools could continue to do exactly what they would have done under the original proposal. The difference is whether a recommendation is being made, or whether schools are being told, we recommend that you do some teaching of Judaism after the kids are 6 years old, and don't only teach them when they're 6. We recommend that you do some teaching of Hinduism in Upper Key Stage 2, as opposed to only teaching it, because there will be some schools that, if they don't make a recommendation, might think it's okay. You also have to remember, I mean, one of the reasons that was originally given to us why we didn't need to have Judaism recommended in Upper Key Stage 2 was that apparently some teachers fed back in the syllabus review that they thought there was too much Judaism in the syllabus. And I'm like, well, if teachers think that there's too much Judaism in the syllabus, then there's prejudice there. Now, if there's prejudice, you have to, if they think it's not important, well, what you have to do is say, well, we actually think this is important. And it's precisely the teachers who think that it isn't important to teach about Judaism or to teach about Hinduism that need to be told, well, we really think this is important. And it's not that we're telling you have to do this. It's meaning we're making a recommendation, because we know very well that if you don't make the recommendation, there will be some schools that just don't teach Judaism at all in Upper Key Stage 2, Hinduism at all in Upper Key Stage 2. And that's what we're trying to avoid with the recommendation, which schools can ignore if they want to. No one is tying anybody's hands behind their back or restricting it. That's not what it's about.
Thank you, Gareth. And it's 5 to 7, so I want to go to vote on this.
Quite quick. I think, just listening to that, therefore, is it not actually in the language that supports the boxes that's the most important thing? Because I think everything with that you just said can apply to box 1. And I'll say why. I really think, listening to what our teachers have said here, but also that it's so important, is because we're saying that choice and flexibility exists there. But I think we should say that recommendations are, when a faith is listed, it's important. I come back to that. I'm a little uncomfortable that we pull out more and more individual faiths in this, because everything I've heard from teachers, I think if I say, your contribution was very powerful, that they're all listed, they're name checked. So if we just make sure that the supporting words say, the recommendation is, and actually we generally prefer the word and rather than or, which I know most schools would do, I think that's important. The concern is we could make, we can make arguments about every individual faith why we would do more or less tonight. I think we have discussed and consulted on considerably there, and I think at the end of the day, we as a SACRE, as a Greek Syllabus Conference, we are very much in the hands of our teachers, and I've got huge confidence and faith based on teachers here tonight and those in Bracknell Forest and the way the network works, that they will actually take on board the sentiment behind this. So my summarise, I think it's a long way of saying, let's just make sure that, when we use the word recommendation, if we go for A, that we say the recommendation is broad-based, and then we allow all the curriculum discussion groups and things like that to develop that going forward, because the world changes fast, and I think it's important all faiths are picked up in that. And going back to the common point, I think what the first one does is to say there's a place for worldviews alongside faith, and I think that's really, really key in the world we live in today.
It's about process, because I would like to put this to the vote.
So what myself and Emma were just discussing is, obviously, in terms of the vote, it would be about whether you wish to adopt the proposal which is the proposal is the one that actually Shira's put forward. If you do, you wish to accept that or not, because that is the change to the original. Aren't I right, Emma?
Could you turn yourself on, Emma, please?
Sorry.
So we're looking at page 7.
My fault this time.
We're looking at page 17.
Yeah. Can we just be clear on what you're recommending and proposing?
So I am. So Shira would like us to consider the amendments that she has made under section D, choice of religions and worldviews, that we adopt the section in blue, Upper Key Stage 2, which is that we strongly recommend that the following religions are taught: Christianity, Hindu Dharma, Judaism, and that then it's Sikh and or Buddhism and or Islam and or humanism. And you've heard the arguments for and against that. So I think what we're asking is, do we want to go with Shira's amendment or not? And if we don't, then the default is that we go back to what we have already approved in October 2024. Is that right, Tracy? Am I correct? Because that's what we did agree a syllabus, yes. Yeah. Everybody's in agreement with that?
So are you proposing on page 2 the amendment here in the blue box here? Can I just speak to
Right. This helps. My understanding is that we have an alternative recommendation in the second blue box to supersede a decision made last year. And I think you're absolutely right, Tracy. If that falls, then the default position is we go back to the agreed syllabus that was agreed last year. But I think the important thing there isn't to notice there's a huge amount more, information that we might pick up at future SACRE meetings that come out of that.
I mean, we haven't finished discussing the SACRE revision in Key
so-
Stage 3, so there's unfinished business. But I think Shira's already made it very clear to us, and this has been very helpful, that we can roll forward with these things. But I think our priority tonight
We've got to, if at all possible, agree a curriculum position to allow our schools to plan for the year 18 months ahead.
Yeah.
Can I suggest a modification to my proposal, which might possibly be more likely to be acceptable? I get the impression that it's the humanism which is causing the greatest amount of disagreement around the table. No, it's
not.
The desire to have humanism as
it's not.
Key Stage 2?
No.
Can I think
would it be acceptable to go to the vote?
I absolutely think we should go to a vote now.
I'd like to
We've
put
had
my
a
foot
full
down on it.
discussion, and I understand where you might want to suggest things, but we have now got recommendations on the table. I think we need to vote on the amendment, so to speak, and if that doesn't pass, so then actually we have a substantive position that we already have.
No, that's not it. No, it's this. It's Tracy. Have you got it to show her? Oh, yes. Okay. Many people have got copies.
This on the same page.
No, not that. No. This is your document. Does it?
So essentially, if this helps,
Sorry, can we stop for a minute, please? It's page 17 of the agenda.
So what I think we're being asked as groups is to either agree or disagree with adopting what has been suggested this evening. And if we say no as groups to that, then that falls. And then I believe that we have a position going out of this meeting that relates to what was agreed before.
Yes, that's what.
And I think that's what to be clear about. So we're actually voting on whether we want to change or not. So if you don't want to change, you say no. If you do want to change, you say yes. And I believe that we've got to have a unanimous view across all groups to achieve that.
I just want to make sure Emma's got the right document in front of her as she's taking
page 17.
I don't really want any more discussion, Alan. Sorry,
No,
I want to
just
go for
very
the vote.
quickly. I think there's some confusion. We keep talking about Kira's amendment. We have already accepted most of it.
Yes.
We're only talking about her proposed amendment on this page, this table,
correct,
just to clarify.
No, we're going to have to put that on hold. I'm sorry, it's just because of time. Yeah, that was a new discussion which was brought. Yours was placed before everybody in good time. So I'm afraid that the Key Stage 3 discussion, it's been helpful. Thank you for raising it. But I think it has to go forward just because of time. Yeah, okay. People have got to go. They've got other commitments. So I want to bring it to a vote. So do you all understand what you're voting on? Have you got the right documentation in front of you? Okay, so as groups, are we voting to accept Shira's amendment or to reject it? And if we reject it, we're going back to our default, which was what we agreed in October 2024. Right, Group A, I'm going to just go around and ask you. Of course, yes, a quick chat. Yes, a quick chat is fine. What do you think?
I think the amendment would be
Sorry, Chair. Can we take the proposal first? The proposal was the amended on.
Yeah, so we'd have to vote no if you don't want to keep it.
We're doing Group A. Group A. We're talking to Group A.
So we're just expressing our views on the proposal, which is whether we accept or reject.
Okay.
Within Group A.
But the understanding.
Chair, are we in a position for us groups to give our sort of collected votes now? I think group by group, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Group B is very hesitant because obviously Group B can't discuss it with anybody. I've ummed and ahed. My honest opinion is I don't think it makes a lot of difference, to be absolutely honest. But I think I prefer the original, so reject.
Well, Tim might correct me. No, we're going to reject the proposal.
Yeah.
However, we were discussing that actually what I think we were talking about just then was around that wording of recommendation is crucial, and that steering our teachers to understand that in a good quality spiral curriculum, all of these religions should be revisited equally, and that wording is going to be, I think we should revisit and look at that wording so it emphasizes it and maybe directs even more strongly, and possibly that could be more powerful than the proposal in the first place, because actually it's not saying you're choosing this over this over this, but it's actually saying a good quality curriculum at the end of Key Stage 2 should absolutely revisit all of the learning the children have experienced before. And you would need to do that in greater depth for those children who have, for instance, not seen Judaism since Key Stage 1 or Sikh or Hindu.
Can you craft a sentence that can be
Oh, now
added
you're
to the
putting me on the
syllabus?
spot.
That, no, well, the thing is, if we're going to agree a syllabus, we have to
Yeah.
agree text.
Just one last thing about that. It's the and or words. Idea we will move forward with that, but the and or words, just take them out of that upper Key Stage 2 list. Just have the list of religions and then absolutely clarify the wording under.
Then there's equality.
That would be.
There's inclusion of all subjects equally, so it's not weighting them in any way, but we make sure that that guidance on recommendation is clearer, so it actually guides our teachers to say whatever it means, you know, relevant to where the children's learning is at, what their recollections are at, what the context is, that actually we are embracing them all. And I know that.
And importantly, that's done through RE leads and training as well. So
that will be crucial.
Training of staff in
So
schools.
you want to make an alternative proposal?
We say no to the amendment, but would reflect very much the comments that we've just heard from Anna. And essentially the rationale behind it is that actually it's the supporting guidance which is as important as the blue box in that. And I've got every confidence that the way that the network works, the way that we actually work together in Bracknell Forest by delivering, RE, means that we can achieve that. But I would caution against one thing, trying to craft words around that guidance tonight. I think they should come out of a particular thing that we charge the RE network with, or things like that, to sort of actually explore how we reflect that. And I think that will then hopefully time with the conversation at Key Stage 3 and above. But I know from bitter experience over the last 28 years, paragraphs crafted at 7:05 at night never, ever, ever work. And so
you're going to say something? Just defer to Emma on this, because obviously we have to follow process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just be clear then? So the proposed amendment sounds like it's been rejected. Yeah. So we're now talking about the original with the slight amendment that we take out and/ors, and there'll be some clarification over the wording about the guidance.
At the risk of putting a spanner in the works, I'm not sure we can take the and/ors out. I think we're going to have to actually, as we're going back to default position, haven't debated doing that tonight. I think what we need to do is to consider at the next SACRE meeting how the guidance reflects the decision and the debate we've had tonight, which will be minuted, and then we can do that. I don't think we can change that tonight because we've not debated or decided that. But I will undertake to meet with Tracy and advise before the next meeting, so the next SACRE meeting can take on board any adjustments to guidance. I just think it's safer that way. Otherwise you could end up in a process mess. We have a starting point, but we have minutes. But Chair, we have minutes which will indicate what the next SACRE meeting needs to do to bring forward the wish of the committee tonight.
Thank you, Gareth.
Chair, so just speaking it through, so you can have a vote on as it stands, as it's written down, and if that falls, then there'll have to be another SACRE meeting as soon as possible.
I think obviously at the moment it's currently going back to the original standpoint, and if you're talking about making amendments to that standpoint, you need to vote to say whether you're choosing to accept or reject the original standpoint. If you reject the original standpoint, then it would be for as part of another ASC meeting to discuss it and clarify exactly what that looks like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, my understanding is though that if the safest course of action this evening is to go back to what we agreed and then consider in supporting documentation and wording at a future point how we might want to adjust that. And if coming out of that means we then want to change that substantive recommendation made in 2024, we can do in a managed and measured way. Otherwise, I think we're going to fairness to everyone involved. Otherwise, we could end up agreeing something that's not really being properly debated. So my suggestion would be is we hold the position tonight that we have, and then we take guidance going forward on how we might want to amend that in the future, should we wish to. Because I think we have an agreed position that has been properly discussed before, and we've rejected them tonight. I'd be uncomfortable if we chose to just amend some words in a box, which would actually mean changing the, with respect to everyone, it would mean changing the words that we had before.
Thank you. And this is just a matter of procedure then. So can we do all of what Gareth has said in a SACRE meeting, or do we need to meet as an ASC?
We could then, we would need to agree in SACRE that we need another ASC if it can't, because there's a proper process behind this. And I think you're absolutely right that what we could do is we could say, well, actually, we can cover this in some appropriate words without a need to revise this, or we might need to decide we need to go back and revise the original, because actually taking and ors out is actually a lot bigger thing than actually it might superficially appear to be.
I agree. Well, it's a bit quick, yes, but I think
what we discovered here is why it isn't working and we had two ASCs. Because what happens is when you haven't actually really been delving in with the syllabus, you haven't been discussing it, you haven't been thinking, and then the issues come up, and then you suddenly realize, oh, we need to work on this, we need to work on that, and then you go back and you think about it, and then the second meeting you actually get it done. Yep. So one possibility is that we say, okay, we're not going to quite finish tonight, and that there's a proposal coming up from Group C that needs to get put together. And
No, I'm at the risk of ending the meeting and political. I think we have a strong position that will put a SACRE committee in a position to discuss and debate and decide whether we wish to make those fundamental amendments. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm thinking it's important we take that in a principle.
I'm going to bring this
Yes,
meeting to an end. And unless, well, points of order. Go on quickly. It's 7:15.
I totally understand, Chair. I think what we need to be really clear of is that actually the ASC is separate to the SACRE. So actually the ASC needs to have another meeting.
So I'm going to propose then that we ask
to continue.
Emma, Lizzie, if Lizzie's well enough, to come up with another meeting for us to meet as an ASC. But that's a discussion for you and Tracy and Katie to have. I'm going to kick that one down the road. So we've got as far as we've got. So thank you so much, everybody. We are going to have to reconvene this meeting to continue the discussion. And Rajit, we now have we've got your stuff in front of us to look at, so we know what you're considering at Key Stage 3. Perhaps it gives you time to come up with some content.
I've got content I'm working on.
No, but we need to have something in front of us.
Yes. I've got more more elaboration on the recommendations. But I think I think it seems that where we've left is one of the reasons I agreed to reject the other one, not make amendments to that, is because I thought we had to make an agreement today. And I kind of, for that, just a compromise, but it seems now kicking it down the road, which I was told wasn't a good idea, you didn't want to do. So I'm a little bit concerned that
it's going to the next
I've been pushed into this decision.
You can do some
work.
work.
Yeah, I will do some work. Yeah.
Something and
Yeah.
propose something for the next
Perfect.
meeting.
Sorry.